Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, I'm going to point at the camera and say something important, I'm sure, as soon as I can remember what the hell it is. Okay, so now I remember. A day in the life of an IT guy. Today, you're going to come along with it. You've seen this client before. It's an engineering firm up on the 8th floor of a tower in San Antonio. And originally, this is the client that has had all the trouble with the Dell computers. Well, I should qualify that. They've had trouble with a couple of the Dell Dimension computers that they bought. So much so that they've probably been a loyal customer of Dell for over 10 years, and now they're looking to buy from another company because Dell's service is just not what it used to be. And this is a prime example of it. So the idea today was to go out there and replace this PC that Dell could not repair. They sent out a new motherboard, put it in, they put new drives in. They never replaced the RAM or the power supply, but I even personally went out there because when the last Dell technician came out, he put in the NVMe SSD drive, but never bothered to. He started the Windows install, but didn't stick around to see if it completed. And I got a call within a day. I knew I was going to have to go out there and load, add it back to the network and whatnot, but I got a call from the client a day or two later saying that the machine was completely locked up. So I made a trip all the way out to the client. Sure enough, the PC's locked up again. Just like it was before. It would just hard lock in the middle of an install, no less. So you got problems there. I tried a new NVMe. I tried switching RAM around to no avail. Got a hold of Dell and they said, well, we're just going to send you. I said, look, at this point, we're done. We're done trying to fix this. Send us a brand new unit or send us a rebuilt unit. We want, we got a customer, or we have a new employee starting in a week or two, and we need a working computer. So Dell did, in their defense, send out a new computer. However, with all the shipping delays and lack of parts and resources, and everybody going back to work because the whole CV whatever is waning, they weren't able to get the unit to us in a timely manner. First, it was going to be May. Then it was going to be the end of May. And then it turned out to be June 10th and then June 15th. And we scrambled and made other arrangements. We had a laptop available, and we gave a laptop to this new employee, and that worked out. But as I was there the other day at this client training some of their people on the phone system, FedEx showed up with a brand new Dell, and so they made it before June. And I told the client I'd be back on Sunday to install the unit. So, long story short, too late. I went out there this Sunday, and that's what this video is about. And I got a text about the night before I went. This is how the owner of this company works. This is why I love the guy. He texted me a couple, like the night before. He says, "Hey, do me a favor when you go out there on Sunday. Can you add a couple of drops to the offices? I want to move some people around." And in this business, you have to be prepared for that kind of thing. What the client wants, the client gets. So I told him, sure, no problem. So I grabbed my box of cable and went looking through my stash of parts here, hoping I had some couplers, because this business is odd. They used to occupy the entire suite on this floor with another company. The other company left. The building's kind of been doing bad. They can't get people to seem to want to pay the lease in their building because, for whatever reason. So they've been this client of mine has kind of been squatting on this space. Well, they finally got into agreement with the people that run the building, and they're going to take over the whole space. So some of these connections that I'm having to re-establish were there originally in the old server room, and we never extended them when we moved the server room up to the other side of the building. So now the client texted me on Sunday or Saturday night and said, "Hey, activate, drops number 13 and 14 for me. I'm going to move a couple of people in there." So the answer was yes. But anyway, I don't have the couplers I went through my stock. I don't have any couplers, and I hate using them anyway. So I got to thinking to myself, what I do have are some Cat 5 punch down blocks. And so I decided to take those with me and use those, because the problem is, the cable's there, but it only goes to this server room. It needs to go another 25, 50 feet to the other server room. So how do you do that? You have to couple two cables together and extend it. Now, I've had a lot of comments before when I've done something like this, that this is not the proper way to do this. And to those people I say, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You can combine cables up in a ceiling just fine, as long as you use good quality couplers, or like I'm going to do today. I'm going to use the actual punch down blocks and to make a good physical connection. And then of course label everything. But you do what you have to do, because a lot of times, and it was in this situation, you cannot get down back into these walls. Or the person who wired the room prior to you may have tacked these cables up internally to a stud. So you never know what you're going to run into. So sometimes it's just better to cut off the cable up in the ceiling, splice it together with a new piece, and carry on with your life as normal. And that's what we're going to be doing today. All right, so here's the desk, and here is, finally, the Dell computer to replace the pile of crap 3630, I think they had sent me earlier, that refuses to be repaired even after a motherboard and an NVMe swap. And here is that defective unit. This is in their conference room. So yeah, this is the defective Dell that's going to be sent back. And let's see, they disconnected my switch here, and I guess we'll use this UPS for that unit. Should be more than powerful enough. And then we got a couple of monitors we can use for that unit, and then we'll put this one back in the box and send it back. So yeah, I need to move my switch into the other room, put it on the rack because it's not needed in here right now, and we'll get all this stuff moved around and get it all set up, and I'll come back. So here's the desktop. We're set up with a phone. I'm still going to find if that phone supports gigabit, because it's it looks like it was limiting the machine to 100 megabit, the old one. So there we are. It's the first boot up. There's the Dell. They sent me a 3630. So I'm going to go ahead and go through getting it set up, and we'll see how it does. So I've got my little work area set up here. We did have to change out the phone, because the other phone was a gigabit, or was not a gigabit phone. It was 10100. And you can see I got my cable testing out. So I got my little workstation set up here. Got the monitor set up. The Dell is going through doing the updates, and then I've got to install Office, etc. And I got my little laptop sitting here, waiting to finish some updates. So let's go in here and look to where we have another office we need to wire. And you remember this place that ran the wire from this office here. Okay, so we have two more in this office. So we have number 14 right here, and we have number 13. And the client would like both of these outlets to be active. So I need to put my tone generator on here and see if we tied these units into the existing patch panel. I don't think we did, and then that means, of course, that I'm going to have to go up here, find out where they come down, pull the cable back, splice them, and extend them to the patch panel. So let me go, let me get this set up. Now normally I bring a tripod, but for whatever reason today I forgot. So let me plug the tone generator. Let's make sure we get that. Yep, we are. So let's go. We're getting the tone. So let's go into the server room now. Take you along here with me. Turn this off till I need it. I'm almost certain it's not connected to this patch panel. but just for shits and giggles. So it should be up here on number 13, 14, 15, something like that. Now, I'm not getting a tone from anything on here. And I'd be willing to bet you they're not hooked up in the back. Well, maybe. But I think there's a different number. Let's go back and look at those numbers again. That's a shame. Because that is a long distance to be running that cable. So it's 14 and 13. 13 and 14. Lucky number 13 and 14. Well, I know I'm not getting a tone on 14. Let's try lucky number 13. The client is in negotiations to take over this whole corner of this building. So 13 and 14, so that's 13. So let's see if we get a response. If not, we're going to have to crawl around up in the ceiling again, my favorite thing to do. But what's interesting is that 12 and 13, no, there's nothing. And I don't think they're wired on the back. I'd be willing to bet no, they're not wired on the back either, so, of the patch panel. So that means I'm going to have to get up into the ceiling and take a look-see to see where those cables spur off at. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to lift a couple of panels and see where they terminate at. Because before they terminated, now they've cleaned up this closet, but before they terminated in here, and there was a rack. Alright, so here's what I found. The cables there's a firewall there because it's the main building past that wall, so you can see the blue cable coming up. So I'm going to just cut it right here because it goes back to the old server room, which we're not using anymore. I'll cut it here, and then I'll put a jack in and put a splice in here. Same way with this one, I will cut it here. I got plenty of extra cable. Cut it here and put a splice in, and then tie it in, and then I'll do 2 new runs from there. They need to come down here. They need to come down the hallway, so they're on the other side of this wall, right here. So they'll have to cut across here, and then they will be coming into this server closet here, and then I'll pull them down loose like I did these other connections here temporarily. And then once we get all the moving of equipment done and moved around, then I will actually tie these into the patch panel instead of having them just as loose connections as I will do with those there as well, the new runs. But we just kind of put all that on hold because the building was in flux. So what I'll do is I'll do the runs from this cabinet here. I'll pull 2 runs out of the box, make sure they're long enough and have extra length, just in case I run into any obstructions up here. It's a booger bear getting them through that hole there, because you have to take that tile out, then it has to be put back. Anyway, it's a real pain, but I'll get through it. I'm a big boy. It's about it's almost 3 o'clock. I'm hoping to be done by 5 so I can be on the road and be home by 6. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm going to go down and get the tools and parts out of the car, and I'm going to get started. So I guess the easiest way to get started is we'll start in this room, and I'll just tie them together here and start pulling them through the ceiling there using my handy dandy rods, 3/16 fiberglass wire running kit. It's better than having nothing. So One of them is broken, but I can get along with the rest. So what I'll do is I'll simply tie these cables onto the end piece and then tape them as well, and then I can pull them back to the server room. And then once that's done, then I can go ahead. I've decided to go ahead and pull them down. Since I have access here, I'll just tie the new cable onto the old one, pull it down inside the wall, and then tie it into the jack so there won't be any splices. Then it's go time. And then I could do the same thing with this, would just tie it on and pull it. This one I'm a little more worried about, because if it falls off in the wall, I'm kind of screwed, because I don't have my fish tape with me. And I don't know what else is inside that wall, but it should just be a straight shot. So hopefully nothing will get tied on or snagged. So wish me luck. Here I go. You know, I really should have an assistant when I do this stuff. It's not that it's hard work, but at my age, if I get dizzy on a ladder and fall, it's not real smart. So anyway, so there's the white cables. Pulled them through. I've done all this in the last 15 minutes. There's my ladder. But I opened a tile here. And that's the benefit of those rods. They just give you the ability to get up in the ceiling and guide it to where you want it to go. Then I had another opening here. And then this is where I decided to pull back the cables to make sure I had enough length up in this one. And then the next one is to come into the server room, take that tile out, and then fish them over into where that hole is up there. So that's what I'm going to do next, and then I will terminate them, pull them down in the other room through the wall, and then we will test the cables to see if they're working. And we shouldn't have any trouble. I've been very careful not to run them across light fixtures or anything like that. So anyway, wish me luck. Alright, so what I did, I could not pull these wires down. So as you can see, I clipped that wire right up there at the ceiling. The problem was that they're tied off inside the wall somewhere. So I don't know whether somebody put a cable clip in there or what, but I didn't want to risk cutting the wire too short and whatnot. So I didn't use couplers this time. What I did was I got ingenious and I used a wall jack, and I made a good connection. These wall jack connectors are fine. They'll be up in the ceiling, but this is what I used instead of a coupler this time. And this is a good quality. I think it's a Leviton. Yeah, it's a Leviton connector. And yeah, I stole one from another area in the office, and I have got a good connection there, as you can see. And I did the same thing with this connection over here. And I've got all the ceiling tiles back in place now. And I'm ready to, I'm going to make a patch cable with that extra white cable I made. So I'll make a couple of homemade patch cables and test them so they can put their PCs wherever they want them. And then all the tiles are back in place. This is where I robbed the jack from, up here at the lobby. They're never going to have anybody with a physical connection in here, so I do need to put the plate back on the wall. But yeah, there we are. And the PC's in place. What I don't finish here on the PC, I can finish remotely tonight from the comfort of home, because I'm going to start gathering all my stuff up. It's getting late. It's almost 5 o'clock here now. And I'm going to start calling it a day here shortly. Alright, so there's the bad Dell back in the box, ready to go back. Here's the new Dell down on the floor. It's working fine. Got the double monitors set up. I've got the user's profile set up on here. I got him a new phone. And just take a walk around. There is some debris on the floor from where I ran the cables, but all the ceiling tiles are now back in place. Everything's good with the world. Server room. I pick up the big bits off the floor, but the little bits I don't pick up. So here's the server closet. Cables are coming down. Again, we'll neat them up here in a couple of weeks Right now, what they want is functionality for that office, so they get people moved around. As you remember, they were stuffing a bunch of people here in the conference room. Well, they need their conference room, and it gets too noisy in here when they're trying to do training or conferences. So the object is to move both of these guys out of here and into this office down the hall. It's a big. They have a corner of one building here, so it's a lot of square footage. So this is the VP's office. So here's the office we were in. I've left them long patch cables so they can put their PCs wherever they want them. I can come out and move the PCs for them, but these guys know what they're doing. And besides, I've got to get somebody to physically move the desks. Anyway, here's a bit of debris I didn't pick up. I don't like leaving that for the vacuum cleaner. It gets tied up in there, but other little stuff should be fine. So we've got them all hooked up. Ceiling tiles are back in place. This one was already a cracked tile. They got the building people are supposed to come replace that tile because you can see they've had a water damage before. They got the roof fixed, so. But all the other tiles are fine. That coupler idea, that jack idea was a good idea I had. Sometimes you have to think on your feet. They eventually will be all the way down to the end of the hall in this suite as well. Not yet. I got this guy a different phone. He's the VP. It's set up for him now. I verified his computer is still working, so he can work from home if he needs to. A lot of these guys are coming back into the office now and not working at home, so because it's a huge pain in the butt sometimes to work from home. Okay, so that's it. We're done. I'm going to go ahead and gather up my stuff, clean up my mess, and I'm going to head on home for dinner. Now, one thing I love about this client is I have keys to the building that they're in. I have keys to all of their offices in there. We have a very good trust level with all of our clients. I don't like to go into client locations and work on things during the course of a work day. It just never works out. So for me, it's better to go in there on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's more laid back. I can get my stuff done. I'm not tripping all over people. I'm not having to ask people to move out of their desk or to have stuff falling out of the ceiling onto their desk or onto their head. And it's relaxed. So it was about 2:30 that I started on the cabling. Now, when I did an investigation, I lifted the ceiling panels and opened the panel on the wall where the faceplate where the jack comes out, and I did a pull test to see if I could pull some cable down. Oh, and it seemed to work just fine. But once I got the ceiling tiles off and looked up there and went up on the ladder and tried to pull the cable up, it jammed. So at some point that cable is tied in that wall, and it did it on both locations. And it's a good thing I went up to the ceiling before I started cutting any wires, because the wire, I thought there were two outlets, one on one side of the wall, one on the other. And the cable I was pulling on initially was for the other side of the wall, which is active. So I'm glad I didn't cut that cable. Now, fortunately, I was all out of couplers, like I said, but you know the trouble I had on those couplers last time. So this time I brought punch down jacks, so I could punch down the side coming up from down on the wall. You just cut it off, leave about 3 or 4 feet at the end, or 5 feet, and then you put a punch down block on it, and you put the cover on it, and then you plug in the other end of your cable, as you've seen on the video, and test them. Make sure you have a tester with you. I tested them, and so it was about, I guess, 4:15 by the time I got done running those 2 cables, because it's just me up and down on that ladder. Got them run, and then I had to go put the ceiling tiles back, and then I needed to pretty up the walls and put the wall plates back in, and I made a couple more cables and tested everything again just to be sure, and then cleaned up my mess, and I was bing bang on my way. So I was there from about I guess I got there about 1 o'clock and was there till 5. So about 4 hours to set up a PC and 2 new drops. And it probably would have taken me the same time had I had a helper. The only thing the helper would have done was gone up and down the ladder for me instead. And Unfortunately for me, I can't keep a full-time employee on to do that. And the resources I have around here have all grown up now and got families of their own. So unless I find a new helper, I'm going to be doing this a lot on my own. But that's all right. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was pretty easy peasy. The client's very happy, and so as a consequence, I'm very happy. So there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. As always, please give us a thumbs up down below. If you liked the video, leave your comments in the comments section. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. We love our subscribers and our non-subscribers. I understand that as well. Sometimes I watch videos without subscribing, so don't feel bad. But if you remember, hit the subscribe and the little notification bell so you can be notified when we have new videos coming out. Donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal, Patreon, and if you look down on my videos on YouTube, there's a little function called Join. And for $2 a month, automatically recurring membership fee, you get to help support this channel, and it is greatly appreciated. So come back and see us again, and please don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.